This is the story of Benny Louise Goss. Now, there are a couple things you need to know about Benny. First of all, she hated that her name was Benny. Second of all, she loved science and mathematics. Benny was a young girl. She grew up on a cattle ranch out in Wyoming. In the late 1930s, she was born, and unfortunately, her mother passed away soon after she was born. Benny grew up hating her name, as previously mentioned. She would always say, "Benny is a boy's name. I don't understand why my mother would name me a boy's name." So she insisted, as she was growing up, that her father and her 4 brothers all call her Louise, and everybody else. Her father and her 4 brothers would just say, "No, your name is Benny, we're calling you Benny." But her friends at school always called her Louise, which she liked much better. So the thing about Benny is, as she grew up and she was working on the cattle ranch, she always dreamed about having more. She wanted to go to college. She wanted to be a scientist. She wanted to break out of this farm. She wanted to be somewhere else. She wanted to go to college, have a job, not be stuck on the cattle ranch. So when she graduated from high school, she had high honors in science and math, and she was an excellent student. So she came to her dad and she said, "Dad, I want to go to the coast, and I want to go to a university, and I want to be a scientist, and I want to work there." And he said, "Benny, there is no need for women at universities." And she said, "Oh, Dad." As any teenage girl, she did not listen to her father, so she continued to pursue her dream. What she did was, while no one was really paying attention, she would find ways to sneak into town, use the telephone, and she would call up universities all around the coast, and she would say, "Hello, I am Louise Goss, and I am inquiring about a position at a science lab or a research lab or anything you've got." And she would always get the same response, which was, "We don't have any need for women's secretaries." So this was very, very annoying to Benny. She said, "Goodness gracious, how am I going to get anywhere if they're not accepting women? Maybe Dad was right." So she was just so forlorn and distraught one day after getting another response that was just, "We don't want women at our universities." And she went home and she slammed the door and she was crying in her room, and then she heard a soft knock on her door. And it was her brother George, who she always really, really loved. And he said, "Benny, can I come in?" And she just got furious when she heard the name Benny. And she said, "Stop calling me Benny. I don't know. Everybody calls me Benny. I've told you to call me Louise. Benny is a boy's name." And George said, "Benny, don't you know why your name is Benny?" And she said, "Well, no. Maybe Mom liked it. I don't know. She wanted me to be a boy." And George said, "No. Mom's brother's name was Benjamin, and she loved him, and they called him Benny, and she named you after him because she cherished him so much." And Benny thought about that, and all of a sudden, light bulb, she realized, wait a minute, Benny is a boy's name. Okay, I could maybe use that to my advantage. So instead of going into town and calling people, she went into town and she called and asked for applications on behalf of someone in her family. So they mailed applications to her, and when she filled them out, she didn't write Louise Goss, she wrote Benny Goss. They didn't ask if she was a male or female, so there's no need to tell. So eventually she got an acceptance letter at Southern California University to work in their biology research lab. And she was like, "Yes, this is my way out." So she went to her dad and she said, "Dad, I got a position at Southern California University and I am going." He wasn't very happy about it, but he said, "Fine, if this is your dream, this is what you want to do, go." So she knew that when she got there might be a little bit of trouble when they realized that she was indeed a woman. But she was up for the challenge. She'd gotten this far already. So she packed up her things and she drove down to Southern California University. She found the building where the research lab was, because she figured, I need to get in and work and get money so that I can go to college here and stick around and climb to the top. She found the place where she was supposed to go. She walked in and she said, "Hello, I am Benny Goss, and I'm here for the research lab position. And she had her letter of acceptance and her application and all her paperwork together, put it down on the desk, and the secretary kind of looked at her a little crazy and said, okay, let me go get the lab manager. So she went to go get the lab manager, and he came in and he was just, are you Benny Goss? And she said, yes, is there a problem? And he said, we weren't expecting. And she said, not expecting what? He said, and I think at that point he felt so awkward, he didn't deny her because they accepted her and they didn't ask whether she was a woman. So he just said, okay, come this way. And that's how she got in. So she ended up being a part of the research lab there, and she earned enough money to go to university there, and she got her degree. So that is how Benny Louise Goss fulfilled her dreams, by using her name. Thanks.